Welcome to Charts Today. My name's David Linton, and today's edition for Thursday, the 11th of February, comes to you from London. And we've seen the dollar's had a pretty tough week this week, but just flattening out a little bit now. But the short-term trend is still below the cloud, which means it's bearish. The medium-term daily chart is also below bearish, and the longer-term weekly chart is also bearish. So my long-term, my medium-term, and my short-term views all corroborating downside pressure for the dollar, and we're seeing here the corresponding point and figure targets. No real giveaways here on the short term. If you are trading currencies, you want to be looking at the 1 minute point and figure charts. The euro is flattening as that dollar has steadied as well, but we are bullish on all three timeframes here. That weaker dollar, stronger euro. Sterling has been stronger against the dollar this week. 138.50 is the level that we've been hitting, so that's really strong. We've had these targets, and we've been talking about 139 for a while because we've had those targets very much in place. So that's where we are. And if we look at sterling against the euro, we're sitting just nudging that 114 level, and have been knocking on that level all week. So we are seeing sterling undergoing a re-rating also against the euro. Bitcoin is sitting at $44,950, has come back a little bit, but still holding the levels higher than the levels we saw back at the beginning of January. So that is key. Whilst we stay above that $40,000 level, that's looking pretty good for Bitcoin. We have effectively, with this pullback, locked the column. We talked about this yesterday on LinkedIn. We need to see the close to lock this column, but if we lock here and then go higher, that gives a target on Bitcoin to $107,000. Hard to believe, but that is the target. And if we look at the targets previously, we had a target given at $11,000 to $19,700. That's where we went. We had another target here given at $22,000 to $40,000. That's also where we went. So we just can't ignore the fact that the targets are there, but keep a very close eye on these shorter term charts because there will be inevitably volatility with Bitcoin. Looking at the US market, the S&P future is down very slightly. The S&P was down very slightly yesterday. The cash market holding on to bullish trends on all three timeframes, good upside targets. Locking this column potentially will give us a new upside target. The Nasdaq also looking strong above all three timeframes. And looking at the futures today, we're up 0.25% on the S&P future and up a third of a percent on the Nasdaq. So it does suggest that the US market will open higher. The VIX volatility sitting at 21. This level is very sedate. Market's not at all fearful at the moment based on the VIX. Looking at the FTSE future, we're up a third of a percent here this morning. The DAX in Germany up a third of a percent, and the CAC 40 up it's up very slightly, but on the whole, European equities looking strong this morning. Japan was up overnight 0.4%, and that's really surging now. So we're seeing big moves in Asia. The Hang Seng was up 0.45%, and the Chinese market also breaking higher, but taking a move now above the levels that we saw in January. So we were in session above that level. So also looking good there as well. The Sensex up 0.4%. It's had an amazing run and now just pushing above that big week that we saw last week. So looking strong there. The Aussie market down very slightly, not really performing very well there. Gold sitting at 1844. It's really been hanging around this 1850 level for quite a while now. But we are bullish. Excuse me. We are bullish above the cloud there. And if we look at silver, we also see silver as pushing higher as well. And US 10-year yields have come back to 1.14%. So we are just seeing a little bit of a fall away there on our US 10-year yields on the short-term chart, but the longer-term trends still very much in track. Taking a look at the weekly energy mix, Brent crude is down 0.5%, but it has had an amazing run this month and really still holding on to its bullish trend with upside targets. WTI is down 0.5%, still holding on to its bull trend as well, so that's quite significant. And if we look at US nat gas, we're sitting at 234, so we've really pulled right back on 298. So we pulled back on US nat gas. Sorry, we're down 2.34%. So we are still very much stuck in this 275, 310 range on nat gas. And if we look at emissions, breaking higher again, we're up 1.5% this morning, no stopping emissions, and we're seeing good upside targets here, so that's looking very strong indeed. Gas markets are down quite sharply this morning. We see front month MBP down 5%. Amazing with the weather we've got, but of course we saw the rise mostly last week, so it looks like there's lots of gas capacity, so prices falling away, and the same with TTF front month. We're seeing a fall away there. So that's interesting that we've got these downside targets bucking the weather trend. And if we look at seasonal gas, we had broken out, we've pulled right the way back. We've got this flag pattern building on seasonal gas, which is really quite key. And that's going to be really interesting to see if we can break that level that we're seeing here, that the sort of 16 to 18 euro level on seasonal gas. That's going to be quite key, and that will activate an upside target to 21.30. So keep an eye on that. German power up just under 1% at 54 euros, so pushing higher there, and really holding its resistance level. We broke out and we're running higher, so looking good. Good upside targets. More 1 minute targets coming into fray. If you're trading German power, keep an eye on those 1 minute targets. And if you look at Nordic power, you see here also that we're just holding on as well. That's it for today. Until tomorrow, happy charting. See you then.